Chapter 15 of Vanaparva. 2 more years. The rains came. It was a very heavy monsoon. They were so happy and so excited to see the coming of the rainy season. The river Saraswati was full. It was a pleasing sight. After the season had come to an end, the Pandavas left the Dvaitavana and went to the Kamyaka forest. Krishna heard that the Pandavas had now come to Kamyaka. It was ages since he had seen them. He wanted to see his dear friend Arjuna, who had returned from Indra's Amaravati. With his dear wife Satyabhama, Krishna came to Kamyaka to meet the Pandavas. The Pandavas were overjoyed to see Krishna. Before he could descend from the chariot, the Pandavas surrounded him and showed their affection for him in 1,000 ways. It was a wonderful event for them every time Krishna came to see them. It was so in Indraprastha and it was so in Kamyaka. He was their lives put together, and to him they meant his very life. He was their lives put together, and to him they meant his very life. Krishna embraced Arjuna again and again. Satyabhama was eagerly received by Draupadi. They were now contented. With Krishna by their side, they did not feel the want of anything. Krishna told them that everyone was happy about the achievements of Arjuna. He spoke to Draupadi. Subhadra and her son Abhimanyu are quite well. Abhimanyu is now master of archery. He is more powerful than even his father. Your sons are now with me in Dwaraka. Drishtadyumna brought them to me for their education. The 6 of them now look big and strong. They are the perfect images of their fathers. He told Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira, 11 years have passed by. Why should you wait for another 2 years? Our army is ready. Drishtadyumna, with his fathers and his brothers, is ready with his army. The Kekeya brothers are impatient for your permission. Let us all march to Hastinapura and wage war on the sons of Dhritarashtra. They will be taken by surprise if we attack them now. What do you say? Yudhishthira looked at him and smiled. He said, Krishna, you know my feelings. I do not intend to swerve from the path of dharma. I mean to spend the next 2 years somehow. It will be hard, I know, particularly for my Bhima here. But it cannot be helped. I must do my duty. I cannot accept your suggestion. You must. Please forgive me. Krishna smiled at Bhima and said, Bhima, let us wait just another 2 years. Then we can be as angry as we like. The talk then turned to the other subjects. Krishna listened to all of them when they recited their many experiences. The sage Markandeya made his appearance. He was a great favorite of them all, since he was a good storyteller. They sat around him and Krishna said, Please tell us a story. Tell us lots of stories. It is a long time since I heard stories. My mother would tell me so many stories when she put me to sleep. I would listen to one story after another, but would not sleep. I am very fond of the stories of the long ago, how the world was created, how everything began to live. I like stories too about great men and women. You know all about everything, my lord. Please tell us stories, lots of them. We like to hear you. Narada too came just then. They all sat and listened as Markandeya told him about many things, stories illustrating the greatness of knowledge, of the power tapas had, about the incarnation of Vishnu as a fish during the time of the great deluge, of the Lord who was in the form of a little child sleeping on the leaf of the Ashwatha, of a characteristics of the different yugas, Krita, Treta, Dwapara and Kali. He told them the story of Dundumara, of Kuvalaswa, of the sage Angirasa. He told them about the god of fire and his love for Swaha. He told them about the war in the high heavens and how Kumara, the son of Shankara, won the war for the Devas. The stories were many. The storyteller had a way with him when he told them, and the listeners were eager and humble. Time passed easily for all of them. Krishna stayed with the Pandavas for several days and went back to Dwaraka. Duryodhana's days of peace were drawing to a close. He thought that 13 years was a long time, but the major part of the exile of the Pandavas was over. It needed only 2 years to be over. He had to sit up and think out ways and means of lengthening the 13 years. Once a Brahmin came to the court of Dhritarashtra. The king, as usual, asked him about the welfare of the Pandavas. The Brahmin spoke for hours about the difficulties they were undergoing, of the strength of Bhima, of Arjuna and his winning the Pashupata from Lord Shankara, of his killing the Kalakeyas and the Nivata Kavachas. They heard all that they did not want to hear from the stupid Brahmin. After he went away, the king began to mourn his own sinful actions and the injustice done to the Pandavas. His talk was naturally not pleasing to his son. Duryodhana, Radheya, and Shakuni tried to convince the king that they were more powerful than the Pandavas. The four of them, Duryodhana, Dushasana, Shakuni, and Radheya, thought out a way of hurting the Pandavas. Radheya, always desirous of pleasing his friend, said, "My friend, you are now lord of the world. Your enemies are now wandering about the forest like wild beasts. I have an idea. You can hurt them if you follow it. There is nothing in this world more aggravating than to see the riches and glory of one's enemy. It is greater than the loss of wealth and kingdom. Let us all go to the Kamyaka forest and stay there for a few days. Let us make it a pleasure trip. We will go with all our women and all our attendants. Seeing your splendor, the Pandavas will burn with anger and jealousy. Looking at your wives, Draupadi will be livid with envy. Let us go to Kamyaka." Duryodhana approved of the suggestion of Radheya. He said, "You are very dear to me. You are very dear to me, Radheya. You speak words which are always pleasing to my ears. I have heard of the difficulties which the Pandavas are going through. I would like to see it with my eyes. I want to see Bhima and Arjuna dressed in tree barks. I want to see that women who laughed at me in Indraprastha. I want to see Draupadi with her pride gone, with her eyes weeping tears. I think your idea is excellent. Now think up sufficient reasons for this expedition of ours to the forest." Radheya spent a night thinking up a reason. The next morning he went to Duryodhana and said, "I can tell you what we ought to do. Our cattle station is in the neighborhood of Dvaitavana. Let us go there on the pretext of inspecting the cows. The king will see no reason why we should not go. If we get his permission in the council, we can tell him the real reason later. We can realize our heart's desire." Shakuni, as usual, approved of the plan with enthusiasm. They laughed together, and after shaking each other's hands, they walked towards the king's court with the innocuous idea of Goshayatra. The king was in the court. They got his permission. Later, they told him the real reason. He did not like it. He thought it was too risky. He said, "The Pandavas are there close by in the Kamyaka forest. Yudhishthira is very angry with you. There is Draupadi. The Pandavas may attack you and wreak their vengeance on you. You have heard of Arjuna's increased power. Your action is foolish. I do not like it. Do not go there." Shakuni laughed at his fears. He said, "You know that Yudhishthira is righteous. His brothers are also righteous. They will not harm us." Unwillingly, the king let them go. Krishnar Pranamastu. Chapter 16 of Vanaparva, Duryodhana's Gosha Yatre. The Kauravas went to Dvaitavana. Radheya, Shakuni, Dushasana, and Duryodhana were the foremost among them. They were extremely happy and so very enthusiastic. They were followed by a large and impressive retinue. Their wives and attendants accompanied them. They reached a beautiful lake in Dvaitavana. They camped there. Then began the inspection of the cows. It was over soon. The king, Duryodhana, distributed gifts and riches to the cowherds. They now began to hunt in the forest. They were bent on enjoying themselves. They had heard that the Pandavas had left the Kamyaka and come to Dvaitavana. The spies of Duryodhana found out this piece of information for him. He at once decided to go to the lake for a swim since the Pandavas were in the neighborhood of the lake. Duryodhana went to the lake with all his women. The lake had already been occupied by a Gandharva who had come there with his retinue. The servants of Duryodhana went to him and reported that the lake had already been occupied by a Gandharva. Duryodhana was quite annoyed. He sent word to the Gandharva that the Kaurava monarch had come there with his queens and so the lake had to be vacated. The servants carried the commands to the Gandharva. He attached no importance whatever to the commands. He laughed and said, "Tell that foolish king of yours that I am not bound to obey him. He seems to think that the denizens of heaven will obey his orders. As for you, go away from here. So on if you value your lives. You can go and tell your king what happened here." Duryodhana was very angry when he heard about the insolence of the Gandharva. He collected all his troops and went towards the lake. When the Gandharva heard that the Kaurava monarch was marching towards the lake with the intention of fighting with him, he gave orders to his soldiers to fight back. The army of Duryodhana was frightened by the strength of the Gandharvas. But Radheya was undaunted. He rallied the ranks and fought with the Gandharvas. The army of Duryodhana was now in danger of being defeated. Duryodhana, Shakuni and Dusasana, with the rest of the crowds, now joined Radheya and fought with the army of Gandharvas. Seeing his army being defeated by Radheya and the others, the Gandharva chief joined in the fight. He fought fiercely. The Kaurava army could not stand the onslaught, but Radheya fought still. Duryodhana and the others too fought very well, but they soon found the Gandharva to be too strong for them. Radheya could not fight anymore. He had to leap from the chariot and run away to his eternal shame. At the sight of this, there was panic in the Kaurava army. Duryodhana, however, fought on. He did not turn his back on the enemy. He was made to loose his chariot. He stood on the ground and continued to fight. But he was soon overpowered by the Gandharva. He lifted Duryodhana by the hair, tied his arms behind him with ropes, and carried him away in his chariot. Dushasana and his brothers too were tied up and carried away. The women also were being taken away by the Gandharva. There was panic in the retinue of Duryodhana. In despair, the remaining people came to the ashrama of Yudhishthira and said, "The sons of Dhritarashtra and their women are all being taken away by a Gandharva. You must please pursue him and rescue our king." Hearing these words, Bhima said, "Good, I am glad to hear about this. Punishment has overtaken them for what they did. They harassed us. There is someone else to do to them what we should have done long back. There are then some brave persons left in this world who have the courage to take the law into their own hands and punish the wicked. That man came here with his henchmen to feast his eyes on us, looking at us roaming in the forest. He wanted to laugh at us. People who wish evil to others will themselves be overcome by evil. I am very happy to hear this piece of news." Yudhishthira did not like the way Bhima was gloating over the fate of Duryodhana. He said, "Bhima, I do not approve of your words. These servants of our cousin, are asking us to help them. We are cousins, and among cousins there will be misunderstandings. But the fact remains that they are our cousins. They are our cousins. They are our enemies, granted, but still they are our blood brothers. Between ourselves we must not be friends. Between ourselves we may not be friends, But against a third person, we must be united. We are 5 against 100, but against a common enemy, we are 105. I agree with you that they have been the cause of our unhappiness all these years. They are sinners. They came here just to flaunt their riches in our face. I know it. But, my dear Bhima, you must see that they appeal to us for help. But, my dear Bhima, you must see that they appeal to us for help. Women and other innocent people are being harassed. The reputation of our family is at stake. Get ready to fight now. Take Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadeva with you. Go immediately. Bhima was furious. His eyes became red with anger. He said, "What is this you are trying to do, my brother? Even if you can so easily forget all that they have done to us, I cannot. They are suffering for their sins. This is a thing we should have done long ago. Now somebody else is doing it for us. I consider this Gandharva to be a well-wisher to us. He is now our friend. Please do not ask us to go and rescue those hateful cousins from a fate they richly deserve." From the distance came the voices of Duryodhana and the others calling out for help. The gentle Yudhishthira, the noble-minded Yudhishthira, could not contain himself. He looked angrily at his brother and said, "Are you not ashamed of yourself? You are just allowing somebody else to do what you have sworn to do. You have got to hurry up and release Duryodhana. They have come to us for help. It hardly behoves any of us to talk about all that they have done to us. Whether they deserve this fate or not is not for you or me to say. Do you not know that the first duty of a Kshatriya is to protect the oppressed? Is that not the meaning of the word? You must not take your revenge on Duryodhana through the services of a third man. Rescue him first, Bhima. Then, when the time comes, you must yourself do what you have been longing to do. If you do not go immediately with Arjuna, Nakula and Sahadeva, I will go. I will not allow this to happen to our cousins and their innocent women. They are in the wrong, I am sure, but that is beside the point. We must do our duty. Are you going to go, or shall I get ready?" Hearing this impassioned speech of his brother, Bhima was subdued. He saw what Yudhishthira meant. Bhima was ashamed of his words. "Someone else is doing what we ought to have done," he said. "Brother, I promise to go immediately and release Duryodhana." Arjuna joined him and said, "I will see that the Gandharva releases Duryodhana. If he does not, then the earth will drink the blood of all the Gandharvas." 4 of them set out in the direction in which the Kauravas had been carried away. They saw the soldiers who were going with their prisoners. The Pandavas accosted them and asked them gently to release the prisoners. They would not listen to reason. They said that they had been commanded by their master to bring the prisoners. They had to obey. Arjuna said, "Since you do not seem to listen to reason, I will have to give up being gentle with you. I have no other choice. I will have to fight with you all." All 4 of them began to shoot sharp arrows at the army of Gandharvas. The fight was intense. The Gandharvas were fighters of no mean order. As for Pandavas, Yudhishthira's words had made them realize their immediate duty to release the innocent women of the retinue of Duryodhana, and him too, incidentally. They wanted him to be free now so that they could fight him themselves later on. Yudhishthira had cleverly touched them on a raw spot, their personal vendetta. When he saw the condition of his army, the Gandharva chief came to the front and began to fight. He fought from the sky. He hurled gadas and arrows from above. But Arjuna could tackle this kind of fighting easily. The Gandharva came down and revealed himself. Arjuna was taken aback when he saw who he was. It was not just some Gandharva. It was someone whom he knew well. They had been together so often. The Gandharva was Chitrasena, the dear friend and guru of Arjuna. He had taught him his dancing and music when Arjuna was in the court of Indira. On seeing him, Arjuna threw his bow down and rushed to him. The 2 friends embraced each other with affection. The 5 of them sat together and spent some time talking about the events which had taken place since they last met. Arjuna smiled at Chitrasena and said, What has come over you, my friend? Why did you thus capture our Duryodhana and his retinue? Chitrasena said, "It is a long story. Listen to me carefully. Your Duryodhana, as you so affectionately call him, came to Dvaitavana not to inspect the cows, but to see you suffer. They came to see the gentle Yudhishthira in the forest, dressed in barks and deer skin. They came to see Bhima thin and sick with forest life, with his powerful form dressed in rags. They came to see the beautiful sons of Madri looking like ascetics, with their glowing handsomeness completely eclipsed by their dress. They came to see Draupadi suffer so that they could laugh at her. They came to see you, Arjuna, suffering. They thought extreme unhappiness since you have just returned from your father's abode. Your father, Indira, knew their intentions. He told me, go down to the earth, pick up a quarrel with that man Duryodhana, capture him. Arjuna and his brothers will be sent by Yudhishthira to rescue him. Arjuna is your friend and your disciple. You can tell him all this. Let this rescue by the Pandavas teach Duryodhana a lesson. It will be humiliation enough for him to find himself obliged to the Pandavas. This was the command of your father. As for my releasing these sinners, I will not hand them over to you. You have been sent by Yudhishthira. I will surrender my prisoners to him. Let him do what he pleases with them." The entire party went to Yudhishthira. He released the captives and said, "My dear Chitrasena, I am grateful to you for this. I did not want any stigma attached to our name, that we allowed our cousins to be captured by you when they appealed to us for help. These people can go where they please. Their bondage is over." Chitrasena returned to his realm. Yudhishthira turned his eyes on Duryodhana. There was gentleness and pity in them. There was no hatred there. He addressed Duryodhana. "Duryodhana, do not ever do such a stupid thing again. Spite never brings you happiness. Please go back to your kingdom. I wish you well." With his face cast down because of his extreme humiliation, Duryodhana left the prince of Yudhishthira and went away. Satyam vada dharmam chara. Shri Krishnarpanamastu.